A crypto frenzy, the real estate market is still red hot, and we're talking about emerging markets, all going down today on a brand new episode of Bearish or Bullish. I'm Julie Alexandria here with JC Peretz. JC, it is good to see you. I feel like it's been forever. I woke up Monday morning, my timeline was completely inundated talking Bitcoin, crypto, due to a late rally on Sunday night. What do you make of this, bearish or bullish?
Well, welcome back from vacation. I saw some pictures. That must have been a good time. And, you know, we've talked about it. Bitcoin held that 30,000 level. It wasn't the cleanest, but it got the job done. The buyers stepped in where they needed to. And as it turns out, there was an overwhelming amount of demand relative to supply at those prices. So to me, it tells us a couple of things. First of all, I think the buyers are in control if we're above 30. And then probably most importantly, if you really zoom out and take a step back, I think it reiterates just how important that 29,500, 30,000 level really is for Bitcoin.
Okay, I also heard rumors that this is all on speculation that Amazon is getting into the crypto business. What do you make of that?
One thing I've learned about cryptocurrencies is that there's always some kind of speculation about something. So I don't really get hung up on, the glorified gossip columns, which is really what they are. Listen, anytime price moves, you're going to have a band of journalists trying to justify it with reasons. You see it in stocks, you see it in interest rates, commodities. So why should cryptocurrency be any different?
Listen, you see it in Jennifer and Ben. Who knew?
Even I know about that one.
The S&P 500. Hey, listen, they're taking over Miami. I'm a little bit jealous.
All right.
The S&P 500, are we in for a bearish August through October?
You know, listen, I think that the bears are in control. They've been in control in terms of the stock market itself really since February and even more so in May. So when you look at the cap-weighted S&P 500, which is the one that more traditionally gets, brought up in conversation, you're seeing new all-time highs through last week. Where you're not seeing it is in the equally weighted S&P 500, hasn't done anything in almost 3 months. So it's a bifurcated market where most stocks are not going up. Some stocks are going up, but the bottom line is most stocks are not, and more stocks are making new 1 month and 3 month lows than they are making 1 month and 3 month highs. So things are not getting better, and they are slightly getting worse.
Okay, well, one sector that is getting better, just continues to thrive. Real estate, still red hot. How bullish are you on real estate right now?
Listen, that space is working. We've highlighted some names. The relative strength has been there for a while, for 4 or 5 months already. We've seen these names popping up on our scans. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that rates have completely collapsed, right? So as interest rates rolled over, fixed income investors that aren't able to get their yield in the bond market go towards the stock market, and you're going to see a relative bid in some of those higher dividend paying areas, real estate right at the top of that list. So there's sympathy bidding taking place for sure, in my opinion, because of rates. But overall, when you look at that big base in the Real Estate Investment Trust Index Fund, IYR, when you look at that big base and the breakout above that, I mean, if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. It's a great base, showing relative strength, doing well with rates falling. I mean, to me, it all makes sense. And that space continues to outperform the areas that have more exposure to rising rates, like regional banks, for example, falling back below those 2018 highs. It's a big problem for banks, but all that apparently is great for real estate. So I don't see why that wouldn't continue.
Okay, well, conversely, something that has your attention is emerging markets, bearish or bullish?
Wow, emerging markets, what a disaster. So this thing's a hot mess at the lowest levels of the year. Emerging markets relative to the S&P 500 at the lowest levels ever, right? So, the trend there clearly not up. China really leading the way there, but it's not just a China story. We've been seeing it across the board, just deterioration in emerging market countries. And when you look at the EEM, where is the struggle really getting real? Right where emerging markets peaked right before the great financial crisis. So we've been here before, only one time before. And last time we were here was right before the great financial crisis really got going. And we're back here now. So the market's acknowledging that overhead supply. How long is it going to take? Our argument is that probably longer than most people want to wait.
What is that an indicator for you?
Well, I mean, if China's getting slaughtered, I mean, our shorts like Alibaba, our Alibaba shorts working great. You know, when you look at emerging markets in general falling apart, like that kind of points to a rising dollar. When you look at the US dollar index over the last half decade or so, it's had a high negative correlation with risk. So if emerging markets are selling off on both an absolute and relative basis, and the US dollar is getting a bid, you know, to me, that doesn't strike me as a type of environment where most stocks are doing well. Actually, the opposite of that, which is what we've seen. Most stocks are acting poorly. Some stocks have continued to make new highs, but very, very few, and fewer with every month that passes.
Okay, well, coming up on allstarcharts.com, you guys have new monthly candlesticks out. Tell us about that.
Man, you know, for me, it's got to be one of the most important parts of my entire process. It takes me 30 minutes, right? It's one set of charts once a month, and at the end of this week, we got them, baby. So I get all excited for it because not only does it, you know, it allows us to take a step back and zoom out. It forces us to do that. We don't really have a choice. We have to identify the direction of the primary trend. And with, hey, what did Dow do today? What did Apple do? What did the market do this week? With all that, no matter who you are, it's easy to get caught up in that. The monthly charts bring you back home. I don't know, you know, like in yoga, when you get back to your breathing, right? It brings you back, right? Same thing. When you lose focus, you just focus on your breath. Same thing in the market. You know, when you lose focus, which is very easy to do, come back to the monthly candles.
A trend that you've been getting on, pairing Burgundy and Beaujolais with high fatty steaks? What's up with that?
You know, I started getting on board that train a few years ago. I was at a nice steakhouse in Toronto, actually, and I'm looking at the wine list. And at that point, like I wasn't a sommelier yet, but I was like, you know, I was pretty deep into it. And I'm like, man, wagyu, but like I wasn't feeling like a Barolo or like a Cabernet Sauvignon. I thought it was going to be like too much. So I'm talking to the sommelier there, and I was asking her, I was like, you know, what do you think? And she's like, you want to know? And it was like she's like, a new trend. This was a few years ago. She's like, a new trend that you're seeing is people pairing higher fatty steaks, like a wagyu, with something like a Burgundy or a Beaujolais, you know, where you can get that high acid to counter the acid that you're getting from the steak. And some of these Barolos or Napa Cabs, you know, could be overwhelming, right? Very powerful. You know, in a similar way, in my mind, when you're eating sushi, for example, you're not going to have a Cabernet Sauvignon with that, right? It's not gonna work. So that, in my head, it's in that direction. So I go with something lighter that doesn't overpower the meat. And apparently, so I've learned, this is like a trend. It's like a phenomenon. So I just want to put in my 2 cents. I'm all for it. I'm in.
What's stopping you from pairing it with a Pinot Noir?
Well, that's what Burgundy is. Red Burgundy is Pinot Noir.
I learned something new.
Yeah,
JC Peretz.
Yeah, Pinot Noir.
I didn't know that.
That's a home.
Really? From the Pinot Noir grape?
White Burgundy, Chardonnay. Red Burgundy, Pinot Noir. All day, baby.
I have a lot to learn, Master. Okay, well, for all this and so much more, you can check out allstarcharts.com. JC pairing a Beaujolais and a high fatty steak very soon.
You should try it. You know, you got different grapes along the Loire. You got, you know, that's where you're gonna get your Sauvignon Blanc. It's gonna come from the Loire Valley. And then you got over on Alsace, then you're gonna talk about the Gewürztraminer.
This is the first I'm hearing some of these names.
Gewürztraminer?
Yeah.
Drink some Gewürztraminer.
I need to. I just so I can say it. Gewürztraminer.
You don't want to spell it, that's for sure.
That is for sure. I think they have an umlaut somewhere in there.
What we'll do is one of these days you'll be like, JC, spell Gewürztraminer.